Andrew Callahan is the Patriots reporter and columnist for the Boston Herald, and he joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Andrew.
Good morning, Fred. If I had an objection, you would skip over that, correct? Doesn't matter?
Listen, everyone knows more than me, especially you, Andrew, as you are a man of television, radio, and the print media, as it is. And you have been out there at the Patriots camp. Now, it's getting national attention. I heard it on ESPN this morning because I was up at 3:30, and I couldn't go back to sleep. But the Gerard Mayo came out, and he said that the starting job was open. We just saw that Jaden Daniels has been named the starter for the Redskins or the Commanders. Caleb Williams obviously has looked good too. It is playing for Chicago. People are very excited about that. Bo Nix is going to be named the starter for Denver. And here is the Patriots, and people are waiting for the other domino to fall. Why have they not named a starter yet, Mr. Callahan?
Well, I think Gerard Mayo, in these same comments, regularly refers to the plan, right? The development plan for Drake Maye. We all saw, and most got irked about him playing one series in the preseason opener. Then he goes to 4 series in the next game. And amid all that, Jacoby Brissett has taken every single first-team rep, every single one, in 17 practices. So that's the reason. In their eyes, and I think rightfully so, Jacoby Brissett was the better quarterback through the first 3 weeks of camp. Then Drake has not only a better game in the preseason game, but has been better the last 6-7 days or so. So I think in their eyes, Jacoby had a head start. That's why he was getting the starting reps. He was the better quarterback for most of camp. And Maye has absolutely made up some ground here. It's just a question of how big that gap is. And I would be surprised if Jacoby Brissett does not start week 1. But we still have 3 more practices, another preseason game. And I think that's what they're just waiting on.
Everything I read from your coverage and everybody else that's there tells me that Drake Maye is great 7-on-7, but once you get to 11-on-11, which is where the game is played, he tends to struggle a little bit. Is the gap really close enough for him to be able to make it up?
I don't believe so, but those are 2 different questions. Like, just to address the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11s, because I know most folks aren't down at practice. Like, every quarterback does look better in 7-on-7s. I mean, it's no pass rush. It's driving without any kind of traffic or competing cars on the road. You just take your time, deliver the pass, and boom, you're done. So for the 11-on-11 parts, though, I will say over the last 3-4 practices, Drake has been more accurate than Brissett. He's taken fewer sacks and he's thrown fewer interceptions. Now, there is a part of this that can't be omitted, which is he's seen certain reps with a couple of starting offensive linemen because they started to rotate the first and second teamers with the linemen a little bit more. Has that been a direct impact in his performance? I would say a little bit, not enough to explain that big jump from him. I think it's just coincided with some growth. But as far as does he have enough time? No, I think he's run out of time, and the coaches have not. Again, he's not taking a single starting rep with all of the offensive line receivers, tight ends, running backs. To me, I don't think even if he gets those the next 3 days, that he can make up enough ground.
Yeah, and Andrew, I would even argue that if he did, close that gap, especially in the 11-on-11 work and in game situations, and he surpassed Jacoby Brissett and he looks like the better quarterback, it would have to be a pretty large gap for them to go away from the plan and say, you know what, he's already developed, he's ready to go. Like, there's a scenario in my mind where he is, to everyone's satisfaction, the better quarterback, and he still doesn't get the starting job because they don't want to mess him up by putting him in too early when he's still got a lot to learn.
Right. And look, I think Drake Maye will play at some point this season. I think he might even play earlier than I expected, which I had originally been, putting dates around Halloween or maybe Thanksgiving because of what he's shown me lately. Like, it's not just, he's completing that near, 48-yard bomb to Javon Baker in the preseason game. It's his ability to maneuver the pocket, go through different reads. The footwork's a little bit tighter. I will say this, though, to your point, like the backdrop against which we have to judge every single thing about this Patriots season is the same question they're asking themselves inside the building. How does this help us for the future? We know the season's not about winning. They just gave away their best player for a 3rd-round pick the other day. A good trade, but anything but a win-now trade. They will sacrifice winning today, not rush Drake Maye, because they know what they really need from him is to win in 2025, in 26, in 27, and beyond. So the tie is going to go to Brissett in the meantime because they don't want to rush or risk anything with Maye.
Okay, this Barnwell fella from ESPN?
Yeah, he's a new friend.
Oh, you got your friends?
Newly friends, yeah, met at the combine. He actually lives locally. He's in the greater Boston area.
Oh, well,
look
Andrew
at you.
Callahan, don't
Making-
worry about him wallaching you, and you don't worry about Barnwell usurping you on our show. You were ingrained in here, Mr. Callahan. But he's got the Patriots as a team that could improve and from last year, and he talks about the defense in the second half was one of the most unreported performances of last season. From Week 10 onward, the Patriots were the best defense in football. All right, that's according to metrics. Do you agree with that? And do you think that with minus Judon and Barrymore, that the Patriots defense could be like a top 5 defense this season?
I think top 5, of course, always means like 4th or 5th, right? Because if it was going to be top 3, we would say top 3, or we would say number 1 or number 2 or 3rd. So I think that's the highest possible outcome because you just lost your 2 best pass rushers, Judon and Barmore. And people are like, oh, well, they lost Judon last year and they still made a push. And that's great. But you did have Barmore and now he's gone. And I would argue that Christian Gonzalez, that we assumed to see all offseason, this dominant number 1 corner, hasn't shown up this summer. So I'm not concerned about him, but I would say I'm a little less confident that that guy we saw in September, shadowing Tyreek Hill, Garrett Wilson, and then CeeDee Lamb for a little bit until he got hurt, is just going to show up again and even be better. So I get where Bill's coming from. The guy he used to work for a long, long ago at Football Outsiders, Aaron Schatz, came on my podcast last month and said, I think they're going 7-10. That's like the fat part of my model, says they're going to go 7 wins, 8 wins or so. And he pointed to Judon. He pointed to Gonzalez. Judon's gone. That's a big hit. And again, this team is suffering from real issues up front offensively where Jacoby Brissett's not going to be like a mole for the defense, giving the ball away that we saw from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi last year. But he might have a worse offensive line. And that's a huge issue, whether they want to run the ball or throw it. And that just puts more pressure on a defense that was really good last year. I just think is more likely to repeat what they did overall, which was more top 10 than top 5.
Go back to Gonzalez. I heard Tyquan Thornton beat him for a long touchdown yesterday, which is a little appalling if you ask me, but he really hasn't done very well this year. Should we be, during the summer, should we be worried about this?
Because he didn't show any kind of signs of dominance. Like he was good last summer as a rookie. He was fine. And then obviously showed out in September. I'm not hitting any kind of panic until we see the regular season. Even if he stumbles for the first game or two, okay, that's Jamar Chase, is DK Metcalf. He better get on his horse when they see Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk probably in week 4. But I'm just going to wait this out. It just might be the fact, guys, that Christian Gonzalez knows how good he is. He's 6'2". He runs a 4.3. He can shout out whatever kind of receiver you want. And it just takes the best out of him to come with bright lights of kickoff, real games, real meaningful games. And so it's not like he's not trying out there, but I'm just going to wait until the games matter because he's done this before. And theoretically, he should be even better in year 2. I just want to see a little bit more of that in the meantime.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.